Welcome back to Poddy Talk, the podcast where we shit talk ourselves. I'm Jac.
And I'm Tor.
And today we have Aysha. I'm so excited because we have lots of very Poddy Talk kind of stories. We're going to dive right into them. I know two off the top of my head that I can't wait to chat about. But before we do, let's roll the intro.
I am so excited to be here. I was just talking about this earlier, but like it's so nice to see you guys and like be with my Toronto people. Yeah, it'll be fun.
We are missing you out here. You've left us for sunny California.
Ugh. I know.
And your beach photos make me jealous every single day.
True.
Let me tell you.
Those sunset pics.
As much as I love and miss Toronto, something about a winter and being able to go to the beach and relax in the warmth, I can't complain.
Oh, you are living your best life. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You're definitely winning. Well, originally when we were kind of mapping out this season of Poddy, we were obviously writing down some guests that we wanted to reach out to. Of course, you came top of mind because there is the most Poddy Talk story, which I just think we need to off the bat hop on into it. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Exactly.
Where I don't know if you know the full story, but this actually pertains to our trip to South Korea. And we were there with the lovely Amore Pacific. And we always knew that you had a separate flight because you were coming out of LA and the rest of us were coming either from Toronto or New York.
Yeah.
So you were always flying alone, which is interesting because that was the longest flight you'd probably ever been on, right?
Yeah, I've never gone on like a 17+ hour flight before.
Yeah, no, absolutely insane flight. So we always knew that maybe you were arriving an hour or two later and we meet up at the hotel and maybe do a group dinner the very first night we all arrived in Korea. Yeah. And I remember we're sitting there at dinner and someone was like, hey, like, what's the update on Aysha? She did her flight take off? Like, what's going on? And then someone else was like, I don't know. Like, I'm getting an email. Like, I think maybe she's like missed the flight or something. And there was just like all this confusion. The next day we wake up to realize that you have missed your flight because you thought it was on a different day. Can you please explain your perspective? Because it's so funny.
So I've actually never heard it from your point of view before. So that's actually quite funny too. So let's set the scene. So it's Sunday. And for whatever reason, they sent us kind of an itinerary and the entire time, all I see is Monday. So I'm just assuming, okay, my flight's on Monday, like everything's cool, like literally no doubt at all that my flight is Monday. So
that's what makes it worse. You were fully confident with it.
So confident. So Sunday rolls around, I'm like shopping around, getting all my stuff ready. And then it's like, I had a busy day. So I'm like packing my suitcase and everything. And it's like 7 p.m. I'm like, oh, you know what? Check-in's probably is probably open now. So I'm packing, getting on the app, and for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to check in. And I was like, that's strange. Like maybe I just have to go to the airport. Then I see it says check-in has closed because the flight has already taken off. And I was like, no, this can't be. Tell me why. I look up the actual flight. And it was actually at 11:30 a.m. that Sunday morning. And here I am getting ready for my 11 a.m. Monday morning flight.
No chance you were making that one. No. And the funniest thing too, I swear to God, these were the bougiest planes. Did you fly Korean Air there as well?
And it was
these
like
are
my first
5,000. Yeah.
It was
like a first class experience, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, you're in a pod, like it's hella fancy. And
yes. And I'm like talking it up that entire weekend. I'm like, yeah, I'm going on first class international, like so excited for it. Like, and so my heart just sank. Like, aww. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. Like I'm missing this brand trip. Like this is the coolest opportunity. And I totally like messed it up. So I'm like panicking, and it's also like I run on PST also, so it's obviously much later. And I'm like messaging whoever was in charge, someone in New York, and they were like, oh my God, we don't know what to do. So I'm like booking a flight to China to like on my own to maybe transfer to Korea so I could somehow get there in the morning. And
I don't even know.
It was like $800. Like I was just like, I don't care, get me there anyway. I'm on my way to the airport. And as I'm on my way to the airport, I get a call from someone from the Amore Pacific team. And she's like, oh my God, like we were actually able to rebook your flight for the next morning. So it'll be at 11:30, like the time that you initially thought it was. So
that's here I am halfway to the airport. So
okay, guys, we're good. But it was honestly, it's really funny to talk about now, but it was the panic that I felt was unreal.
It's one of those stories that, yeah, it only feels good like 2 years later. You don't want to talk about it.
It's obviously funny in hindsight. In the moment, I can imagine how stressful / I know you felt so bad and you were so apologetic, but it was totally an honest mistake.
It was a complete honest mistake, but it was so embarrassing. To this day, probably the most embarrassing career thing that I ever had to deal with. But like the team handled it so well.
That is Poddy talk, and that's why you're here, baby.
We love that. We absolutely love that. But I want to also give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to any new listeners. So can you tell us a bit about, like, you're like such a YouTube queen, the content. Tell us about it. How did you get into the industry, and how did you become the superstar creator that you are today?
So believe it or not, this is actually going to be my 10th year on YouTube.
I
know. I feel like no one really knows when I started because I never really went like full time and like full throttle with it until probably about 5 years ago. But I started when I was 16 years old. I was like going into grade 11 or something like that. I was very young, told absolutely no one about it. And it was just like your very organic, as they like to call it, start.
And I was for the right reasons.
Exactly. I mean, Jaclyn, I'm sure you can relate too, because you started when you were quite young too. It's not like we really thought that this was going to be our career. It was
I didn't even know what all this could turn into. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I'm like, people can't make careers out of this. I'm just doing this, for fun. But yeah, now I am a full-time beauty and lifestyle content creator. I live out here in LA, just living my dream. I create mainly on YouTube and Instagram, but I've been dabbling into TikTok here and there.
Oh, I've been seeing these. I love them.
You're so fun.
You're on like a hoverboard and what? I'm like, yes, this is the content I'm here for.
I also feel like TikTok is kind of like my Finsta. Like it's a whole other personality that no one ever gets to see. But like, I'm forgetting that it's also a public platform, but I'm having so much fun with it. Like, it just feels like I started YouTube again, like that.
Yes.
Totally. Well, it's like that pureness. And I feel like, I'm sure you can relate, like having so many different types of platforms. Like there are specific things that I would never post on one that I would post on the other. Yeah. TikTok is totally a throwaway in that sense where I'm like, I'm just going to have fun and do it seems hilarious in the moment because like, who cares? But it's so not the type of content that I would post on my Instagram. So it's weird how you kind of have those little like online different pockets of you're like a different persona,
personality. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
And like, even, like a lot of people to grow their TikTok, like if they have a big audience on YouTube or Instagram, they'll like share their content on their stories or reels. I'm like embarrassed to do that because it's like so like
professional.
Real. Yeah, like I feel like it's very professional there, and my TikTok is very much like my weird, chaotic personality.
Yes.
So I kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing for me right now, but I love it. Like I'm having.
That's so amazing. Yeah. So tell us about this transition, because now you're in LA. You left us. We hate losing Canadian creators, but sunny Los Angeles. How has that transition been? And are you loving it in the US?
Yes, it's been honestly such a good transition. I mean, I feel like when I first moved, the world was obviously very different. We weren't in a pandemic. So I was having a lot of fun going to events, and there was just kind of a lot more to do as a creator here. Not that there wasn't in Toronto, but I feel like it was just like a step up from Toronto in terms of the different events and the fact that like we could still have events in, the summer or in the winter and it not be like a whole thing. So I had a lot of fun with it for the first year. Now it's kind of like slowed down. I feel like I don't really need to be in LA for what I do, but I'm like taking full advantage of the fact that there's just like beautiful lighting all the time, like golden hour, morning light, like all that kind of stuff. I just like, I don't know. I feel so much more creative here. And I actually went back to Toronto to visit my family.
I saw that over the holidays you went home.
Over the holidays, exactly. And I thought that I was going to have this weird, like, I kind of want to stay here and like not go back to LA, but I like was like longing to go back to LA. I don't know what it is.
That's how you know you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, Toronto will always be home. I will never say that I'm never going to move back, but like, I don't know. I'm just having a good time, but I still have love for.
Hey, if I could be in California right now, I'd be there too. Like this weather, it's literally
very
snowstorm
cold
on my
here
balcony right now.
Honestly though, I feel like everyone is having a cold like winter, obviously aside from LA, but like what's happening in Dallas and like just all over the US and with like I'm just like, at least Canada doesn't have frozen pipes because we understand how to deal with the winter.
Yeah, I was actually just watching someone's story and she's like, "Hey, I'm like going on a Zoom like a Zoom seminar to perform and like do a speaking with like all the students." And she's like, "I haven't showered in 3 days. My pipes are frozen. I'm disgusting, but I'm trying to like look glam and hope like thank God they can't smell me." And it's like, "Oh my God, like global warming, just like the variances it causes,
Yes.
not well. Not well."
Very unwell with it all.
Crazy.
Jeez.
Okay, wait, I wanted to go back into the beginning days of YouTube because I'm actually curious because I don't even know this on like a friend level.
Yeah.
What was it that kind of took it from like, oh, this is a hobby? Was there a turning point when you're like, oh, I can make money? Oh, I need a manager? Like, walk me through how those phases kind of like happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when I was in high school, it was very much so a hobby. Like, I didn't really, I mean, I think I set up my AdSense account, but it was the thing where like I wasn't even 18 yet. So it was under my brother. And like, I was making like a couple cents, like maybe $5 a month so I could buy my little Starbucks. Like, it was not a thing. It was just kind of like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I can make like $5. And then I think where the transition happened, it was in university for sure. Like I was still kind of posting in university, kind of not. But in my 3rd year, I actually got an internship with Kin Community, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with.
Yeah.
And I did marketing and partner strategy with them. And I got to work with like a bunch of different YouTubers and just kind of like on their brand campaigns. And it was the first time that I realized like, oh, like these people are actually making full sustainable income from this. And like, I think I had about 50,000 subscribers at the time. So I personally didn't think that I could really do anything with that. But once I, went on my study abroad, came back to university, I was trying to decide what I really wanted to do with my career. And I wanted to go into brand management, but I was like, you know what? I've had this YouTube channel for almost, I don't know, it would have been like 5-6 years at that point. Why not give it a try? Why not like see where it goes? Because at that point, it was 2013. People were actually making careers out of their YouTube channels. Or sorry, it wasn't 2013. It was 2017. So I just,
yeah, it was like you aged yourself there.
Yeah, I know.
Like, yeah, back in 2013.
Yeah, it was not that long ago. So it's coming up on almost 4 years now that I decided to go full time with it. But even then, like I didn't really know what I was doing the first year. Like I was still a broke university student straight out of school, like didn't really know any brands in Canada. They didn't really know who I was because I was out in Waterloo, like not going to events, doing nothing. So it was definitely a lot of like, I want to call it like cold emailing. Like I was just like emailing people all the time and being like, hey, I'm this girl, I'm in Toronto now, like invite me to your events, please. Kind of like sexing my pride. I'm like just doing it. But eventually, Kin was obviously a really big help for me to just like get my name out there and everything. And then I only got a manager in 2018, actually. So the end of 2018, that's kind of when I decided I wanted to get a manager. I knew I was moving out to LA soon. So that's kind of how it all like progressed. But I make it sound like a short story, but I mean, in Jaclyn's words, long story long.
Like, actually, we're wearing it today. Long story.
We are wearing her merch. Where is it on this patch?
Long story long, there are road bumps.
Exactly. I was gonna wear my sweater too, but it's actually in the wash, unfortunately.
Oh, that's so funny. That would have been hilarious. We all around.
Yes. It's
so
honestly so true though. We were chatting today, even Jac and I, saying like timelines in this industry, people think that it all happens overnight and it just simply doesn't. Like this is the long haul.
They don't see all those cold emails, and I love a cold email as well. I feel like that's how I got started. Like I didn't even, the thing is, it's so embarrassing. I kind of pulled up my archives. It was going through emails that I was sending out in like 2015, which I like literally was just starting, didn't even have a media kit, like didn't even understand like the faux pas of like what you should and shouldn't do. And I go back and go, wow, I was like so bold / ignorance is bliss that I would just like, hi, I'm Jaclyn. I'm in Toronto. I like making makeup videos. I'm a certified makeup artist. Like, and I would just like, cold email. But looking back, that's actually how I made so many of my initial connections. And especially at that time, like, I think that kind of was the only way. And so I'm the biggest fan of a cold email. You got to just kind of go for it, right?
100%. It's almost like, that TikTok trend that's like, what's something that feels illegal but shouldn't, or like something, I don't know, something that feels embarrassing, but it actually isn't. It's kind of like one of those situations. Like it feels so embarrassing to like just put yourself out there, but like it pays off in the end, you know?
Absolutely.
And nowadays, like, there's no barrier to entry in the sense that, like, sure, obviously having a network and knowing the right people is a huge part of it. But nowadays, you can go to someone's Instagram or their LinkedIn. You can find out the name of who is in each position and try to connect with them or reach out or send an email. Like, everything is almost more within reach and accessible. Whereas, I mean, 5 years ago, less so, but even 10, 15 years ago, like we didn't have that huge privilege that we could just Google who's the marketing manager here, who's the social media coordinator. Like it's such a huge blessing.
And I think one thing that like it was definitely, I don't want to say slap in the face, but a reality check. Like, so when I graduated university, it was actually the same day, like I walked across the stage, I actually hit 100,000 subscribers.
Oh,
whoa, timing.
Like, very
the timing of your life.
I know, it's so weird. Like when things like that happen, you know, it's just kind of like meant to be. But you know, I got a huge wake up call because I'm like, okay, I hit 100,000 subscribers. I finally made it. Like brands are just going to be throwing themselves at me. I had also, you know, I was going to Vidcon that year, so I thought like I was just going to take the F off. And it was like very humbling because it's not like that. Like you actually have to put in the work. And I feel like that's kind of where my whole drive and like my work ethic came from, because that year, like it really woke me up and made me realize like it does not really matter how many followers you have, whatever. Like if you don't have that kind of like business or just like you want to, if you're not a go-getter, you're not going to get what you want, you know?
It's so true.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Also, I need to discuss the matcha that I just saw you pull into the frame. You are making these as a chef on IG every day. Tell me about this. Have you been seeing this, Jaclyn? It's like a matcha series.
Wait, no. What's the technique? Because I'm a blender matcha because I'm lazy, but I need to learn.
I saw that. So I'm just obsessed with matcha. I literally show it every single day.
Yes.
I'm just like I just use the little whisk thing and then I just like melt it.
You hand whisk it.
It's like the traditional way. Yeah, I like hand whisk it. It's kind of like, so I'm not like a coffee drinker. I enjoy the taste, but I was always just jealous of the people that woke up and were like, oh, I'm going to have my cup of coffee. Me. And I was just like, I want that. Like, I want to be like that girl that's like, wait, but first coffee, like, but first matcha or something. Yeah. So I tried getting into coffee. Didn't work out for my stomach. You know,
it is hard to digest.
Exactly. I call it the bubble guts. You know, it's not.
Oh my God, I call it bubbly tummy. That's so funny. Bubbly tummy. It cleanses for sure in the morning.
Exactly. However, I didn't like that feeling. So I was like, you know what? I used to really like matcha. So let me get back into it. And then I just kind of shared my whole experience on my Instagram stories and people literally loved it. So I just every day I just show my matcha and I just make it every day with some coconut milk.
Yeah, I had to call it out. I've been seeing it as the feature product. Amazing.
No, I want a matcha. I
know. I would love that right now, but I guess it's earlier in LA.
It is.
True. Yeah, it's like 5 o'clock. We'll be like buzzed all night.
Yeah, I was just like, I need some energy because I didn't have it straight in the morning today. So I'm like, I need some energy for this talk because I know you guys are always like high energy.
Really,
so like, I need
we're crazy. You know what's so funny? This is actually unrelated to like any of the questions we try to hit on this, but I just remembered a hilarious story as well. And I exposed you with the first one. This is more a potty talk on me, but it involves you as well. Yeah. I don't know where this just came out of my memory. This would have been maybe like 3 years ago. Like, I feel like we had maybe just kind of met that year. Like we were kind of early friends and there was maybe an event in the afternoon. And later that night there was a Raptors game, which Torri, you were definitely at the Raptors game later, but you weren't with us earlier, I don't think.
Yeah.
And whatever, we kind of got chatting at the first event and I was like, oh, are you going to the Raptors game tonight? You're like, yeah, but like, I kind of have an hour or two to kill in between. Like, I don't know if I should just go like sit at a coffee shop or something. I was like, oh, well, like you can come back. I'm going to go back home to like, I was living at my family home at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, just come back home. I actually like, I've been trying to like, I was maybe on like some workout routine at the time. So I was like, I kind of was going to go to the gym in between. If you don't mind though, if you're just going to work, like, sure, you can like come up and stay in my place. And I was just going to work out in the condo gym there.
Oh my God.
But then in the meantime though, this is where it gets kind of funny. And it was like, I don't think like I should have texted my dad or something. Cause like he was obviously at work throughout the day, but then maybe it was like 5 o'clock, like end of the work day. And I should have like, hey, just so you know, I'm down in the gym. I'll be up in like 45 minutes, but actually my friend is actually in our place, like don't be alarmed when you come home. There's a human in our house who
Stop.
you've never met before.
That's so funny.
But I forgot to text him. But I think I maybe had warned you. I was like, hey, my dad might like come in, like, don't be alarmed. That's my dad kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so he texted me. He's like, what is going on? I was like, oh, don't worry. Just say hi. He's like, yeah, no, super friendly. I was just confused coming home from work. I thought it was you. And then it wasn't you. It was that whole thing.
That's
Anyways,
hilarious.
that was my own fault. And I'm just down like on the treadmill.
Yeah, I remember that. He
So
came
weird
home
of
with
me.
like a paper bag full of, was it like vegan desserts or
Oh,
something?
God.
Probably.
that
Like
sounds
such
right.
Danny energy.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
does sound
he was
very.
Oh my God. But like, I feel so bad in hindsight. Like, why did I even put you in that position? Why didn't I just stay upstairs?
No.
It makes no sense.
I literally did not care. Like I'm so a go with the flow type of girl. I literally do not care. I'm like,
That's
this is better
hilarious.
than
So
you know,
funny.
all the way back to Scarborough and then all the way back downtown. So
No,
Good
that
for
would have
you.
made no sense. So I'm glad you did
Exactly.
it. But
I gotta know, because I know like YouTube, creating content on YouTube is like the most time consuming. What is like a regular week like for you when it comes to creation? Like, do you like come up with ideas and then map them out and then shoot them? Do you listen to like audience members and allow that to kind of influence? How does that go about in your world?
you know, in a perfect world, I would like to be the person that like maps out their entire month of content and knows what videos, but I'm just not that type of person. I feel like the best videos and content that I make just comes to me like that day and I'll be like, I need to film this right now. So a typical week, like I'll know that I have to film at least 1 to 2 videos throughout the week, but I don't really know what I'm going to film unless it's something that I have been planning. Like if it's a workout
Right.
routine, or if I know like I need to integrate something into a branded like content or something like that, then I'll know. But for example, yesterday, I wasn't feeling very well. Like I don't know, you just have one of those down days. Like I was in a funk.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like doing much, but I was still doing work on the side. And I was like, you know what? I always share all of the good and high moments on my YouTube channel. Like, why don't I just pick up the camera and show what a day in my life in a funk looks like? So
True.
I filmed that, and I mean, I haven't posted it yet, so I don't know how well it's going to do, but I have a strong feeling it's going to do well because people love that kind of content, especially now. Like all of my most vulnerable pieces of content that I've made in the past like 6 to 8 months like has done so much more better than like my well thought out pieces. So that's kind of how I go in terms of YouTube now. I feel like that also just keeps me from burning out and just like pushing out content for the sake of it.
It's true.
In terms of Instagram, I definitely am a little bit more strategic with that. I shoot with my photographer at least like a couple times a month and just have like photos and stuff ready to go. But TikTok is another one of those things where I'm just like, you know what, I feel like creating a TikTok
Free
right now, so
flowing.
exactly.
So
I
true.
feel like eventually I do want to become that person that has more of a schedule, but for where I'm at now, the chaos is kind of working for me. So I'm running.
No,
with
that
it.
makes sense.
I was gonna say what makes it so interesting too, it's hard, like the platforms, like inherently like a YouTube and all of these like fun social medias, it all started like almost in rejection to like traditional media of like a television show or things like that. So it's so easy to like want to stray away from, I don't want to have a schedule. I just want to post when I want to post. But it's hard then like merging, okay, business and like the passion project part of it and finding like a good balance between, okay, I want to be posting Mondays and Thursdays, or like maybe my heart's not in it. I don't want to post this week. So it's good to have a schedule, but I find like having a bit of flexibility and like leniency towards yourself is also needed sometimes too. Cause it's hard. Like the expectation now of like YouTube video twice a week and then Instagram post every single day, stories every moment of your life, and then TikToks on the side, like, and then cross promote. It's like, it can be so overwhelming. Do you feel like you deal with burnout quite a bit, or how do you kind of manage all that?
100%. And I feel like that's kind of why I was in a funk yesterday. It was the burnout. Last week, I just had like such a crazy week. I'm trying to get better at this, but I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, I feel like the more you grow, the more amazing opportunities you get in terms of brands. But sometimes it can be like hard to like, say it's a brand you really love, but it can't really fit in your schedule, but you feel bad saying no. Like I'm one of those people who just feels bad for saying no and like can't say no. So I ran into a week last week where I just had so much stuff that was like overlapping and I was really just overwhelmed with everything, like ignoring my deadlines. I was truly burnt out. So I just like took the weekend off and I went to the beach 2 times in a row and just literally sat there and stared at the water and did nothing. And it was just so like good for my soul. And I just feel like having those moments, like I feel like people will deal with burnout for like a month and then be like, okay, I need to take a vacation and like not think about it. But I think like learning how to do it in between the days, like not so much when you're like literally on rock bottom, but just kind of like taking a break one day and realizing that you need to just, do
Stand
nothing.
still.
Exactly.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
like preventative. You're like, I know the storm's coming, so I'm going
Yes.
to do this so that way I don't have a full meltdown next week or something like that.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I've been going about it. But I think just like learning how to say no is one of the biggest goals I need to accomplish by the end of the year. So yeah, it's kind of like it's tough because like we manage ourselves, so it's
Well,
tough.
you never want to close a door to, like, there's all these like thoughts, what if I don't do this? So I totally get that intention, but there is power in saying no as well. And being like, no, I can't actually fit it in. And something that I feel like I've learned too is that I would be the one who would try to go to every event, who would try to say yes to everything. And I think, again, there's a time and place. And towards the more beginning of my career, I think it was very helpful and useful. But then also it's like, if I'm going to be at an event, but like half mentally there and then racing out early or can't stay the whole time, it's like, whether it's online meetings or their virtual events nowadays, any of that stuff, I'm like, I would rather be 100% in on a few things a week versus 50% like foot out the door on everything.
100%. And that's like such a key thing to be able to master.
It's true. The balancing act, as I like to call it. Yeah. So back to your original point about being extremely vulnerable on social this year, and really, from at least what I've seen of you, like truly wearing your heart on your sleeve publicly, which is just like not only exhausting, but it can take a lot out of you emotionally, but then is of course then so well received from the people watching you because it's so honest and raw. What has that experience been like, really opening up this year and kind of like showing your cards, maybe that's a good way to put it. Showing all your cards.
Yeah, it's been a tough year to balance like everything. Obviously with the pandemic, I just split with my husband, so we're going through a divorce, like my first breakup, and all the while everything is online. Like literally all of it is online. So it's like not only having to deal with that personally, but also have to deal with that publicly. Like there's a fine line between wanting to share your emotions to appear relatable, but then also making sure that like you're still taking care of your mental health. And like that's been really hard for me to like figure out. But I think just like doing things that make me feel comfortable in the moment. Like if there's any reason why I feel uncomfortable about something, like I'm just not going to do it. And like when I do feel comfortable about posting and I see that response from people just feeling so appreciative, because everyone goes through ups and downs. Hundreds and thousands of millions of people go through heartbreak, like, but they don't really get to see that on such a public level. Like everything is so glamorized on social media. And like the last thing I want to do is glamorize a breakup, because it's not, it's not cute. Like there's ups and downs and there's lows and there's highs. So I think just being honest with myself and with my audience, and obviously like taking time to like heal personally. But like for me, YouTube has always been that thing where it's almost like a release for me. Like I genuinely get really inspired, and just like it brings me a lot of comfort and joy. So using that as part of like my healing journey has been really, really amazing. So being able to
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's been a good time for the most part.
There's the rough days for sure.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
No, for sure. But I think even in times right now, like obviously, like that's a huge hard thing that you're going through. And I mean, obviously times of COVID as well. Like it's a time right now where I feel like a lot of aspirational or like inspirational content, it can be almost hard to digest and not relatable. And not to say that everyone owes airing out every single piece of information. Of course, people are entitled to privacy, but I do think there is a level of like relatability and vulnerability that people do appreciate, because everyone's going through it, going through something. And I think it is helpful to see people that you look up to or that you watch or you feel like as a friend, and be like, oh, okay, like we're all human. We're all going to get through it. I think it makes people feel like they can connect and feel strength through other people.
Exactly. And like, not to bring TikTok up again, but like, I think
it's our favorite thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that social media, like everything about TikTok is so real and vulnerable and raw and genuine. And I feel like almost seeing that and being able to translate that to like my other socials has been really cool, because it is normal to talk about your feelings on TikTok, which it's not normal to talk about that on Instagram, because you're supposed to have this like highlight reel or whatever. So like finding a good balance between that has been really interesting to me. And like, if anything, it's kind of like re-inspired me to create better content, which is funny using like, I mean, it goes to show why like comedians and just like people in the creative world do so well in general, because they take their darkest moments and they become they build something really beautiful out of it. And I feel like I've kind of done that in a way as well.
Oh, absolutely. And especially in like, it is ultimately like your story. And I feel like owning your truth and really telling your story, and especially being able to tell it in your own words, which I feel is so much power that we have now with platforms and with our social media. Like we finally get to do it all on our own terms and not, not have it be news that someone else runs through like TMZ. Like it's like, no, let me tell my version of the story. And that's great.
Have you guys seen or heard people talking about the whole Free Britney documentary? Have
Oh
you
my
guys
God,
seen that at all?
I haven't
Yeah.
watched it, but I've been, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had watched it. It's only about like an hour and so long, but no, all the conversation, it's so crazy. And it really just shows you how, like, I mean, we all know that media, tabloids, paparazzi, that obviously all manipulates a certain narrative. And we know how bad it can be. But I feel like that documentary just opened my eyes even further to like how much it can literally destroy someone's life and how much we are so lucky. Like, of course, there's pros and cons to social media, no doubt. But the pro that we have our own platform to use our own voice, create that own narrative or debunk anything. And whereas these people didn't have that 10, 15 years ago. And it's so sad. Even there was a clip I
Yeah.
saw that was going viral on TikTok of David Letterman and Lindsay Lohan. And he was like being literally so rude. I do not know how that even made it to air. He was calling her out about like rehab, and she clearly was like going through a bit of a moment. And she's like, hey, I'm on here to promote a movie. Like I didn't approve these questions. And she's trying to be like all friendly about it, even though like he's being so rude. And it's so crazy to see how many of these specifically young female pop stars or celebrities were literally just a laughing stock to the media. It's so sad.
Yeah. Taken advantage of.
For sure.
I think you bring up a good point about being able to own your narrative. Like that is such an underrated like blessing with social media, because you really can like portray who you are as a person and not allow other people to portray that for you. And like for me, for example, as a Black Muslim woman, that's really important because traditionally we're not portrayed in a good light. We're extremely underrepresented in the media. So being able to like take back that power and like really share like who we are is such like a badass thing. Like I love
Oh, I
everything
love
about
that so much.
No, I was going to say something I think along the same lines. I was going to say like having the power to have your own voice, not only to share your own story, but I think also to hold other people accountable. Like
Yeah.
I saw your video back in the summer when you were calling out specific brands who either weren't paying you fairly to your white counterparts or
Mhm.
brands who you just felt like didn't treat you fairly, and being able to have that voice and create that story and let like the general public know is so valuable. And I think you're so inspiring for always sharing that story.
Thank you. And it's not always hard to do, or it's not always easy to do that, because it's like a fine line between wanting to appear like brand friendly, but then also wanting to like speak your truth and like make sure that brands aren't taking advantage of you. And I think in the earlier
Absolutely.
years, like I would 100% just like not say anything about that. But I think like I'm really blessed to say that I've come to a point where like I'm not like begging for these brands anymore. Like I'm going to work with the brands are genuinely doing really great things and are supporting like my community in a genuine way. And like being able to have that like kind of take that power back is like such an important thing.
Do you feel like there has been a positive shift in at least 2021 in terms of representation, and how are you like currently feeling about that with your current brand partners?
100%, like 150%. I feel like honestly, even
Aw, that's so
just
good.
through the summer, like there was such a big shift. Like I was actually just talking about it with my team earlier, like what the shift was, like income wise, like partnerships wise, just in general. I feel like brands are finally they were called out on their BS, and they're making more like genuine partnerships with
Yeah.
Black people, just people that are often misrepresented or underrepresented, or usually like, I don't know, given the shitty end of the stick normally. So it's really, I've definitely seen the shift, and like it continues to shift, and I just love that. So I've really been just focusing on the brands that have showed their support, not so much just like
Yeah.
shown it on like a single post, but are actually like backing up all of their words, I guess.
I hope we get a follow-up video of the good brands that have put their money where the mouth is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Speaking of brand partners, do you have any highs or lows that you can share? Whether it's like, oh my gosh, I never got paid, this brand disappeared, they were totally a scam company, or like any of those kind of just potty talk moments. I mean, obviously the earlier story being the biggest potty talk moment.
Yeah. I think I haven't honestly been completely like taken advantage of by a lot of brands other than the one I obviously called out in the summer. But I'm just like thinking back and it kind of just makes me cringe to like all of the like tea companies and like the facial scrub companies that we all worked with in the beginning. And I'm just like,
We
oh
all
God,
did it.
did you really take $20 for a whole YouTube video? Like, and I just like laugh at myself for it now because we were just so young and naive, and it's really humbling to look back at those experiences and then look back to where I'm at now. And I'm like, wow, you really grew up, girl. Like you really found your work.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's whenever you have like a passion project though, and especially if you're not going into it, even thinking about monetary gains or anything like that, when you realize people value your work and will pay you, you're like, I would do this for free. I've been doing it for free. I remember the first email I got about a YouTube video. I think it was these like under eye patches. And I think they were going to pay me like $75 for the full video. And I was like using it for a full 15 minutes or something, like a full in-depth review. And I was like, $75? Mom, I've made it. Like, I thought that was like the end game.
Literally.
Oh yeah. I think I've told this story on the podcast, but yeah, my first one was like $500 for a photo. And I was like, oh mama, I have made it. Like I like,
I was about to say that would have made me quit my job.
Yeah.
You're like, bye.
I mean, I was in university, $500 at the time. I literally think I took the check, went to the bank, got full cash, went to the bar, bought all my friends shots. I was like, I was like, I have made so much money. It was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, no, I totally
Oh
remember. So I had a part-time job in university at like the career center. And at this point, like I had finally been telling people about my YouTube channel and stuff because eventually like word got out. So one of the ladies that worked there was kind of asking me about it. And I was like, I remember just being so excited. I was like, oh my God, I just got this brand deal for like $400 for a whole video. Like it was like a teeth whitening video or something. And I was just telling her like how excited I was about it. And I'm just like, oh, if you only knew what would have happened in years to come. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Aww, that's so cute.
It is good to always remind ourselves like that the years and the time that we've all put in. It's like I say it every week, like these things do not happen overnight. This is like definitely the long game.
That's so true. In terms of like epic moments, I mean, whether when you arrived in South Korea and made it on the trip, other highs like that, do you have any like major career accomplishments that you look back and go, oh my God, I could have never imagined this would be part of my job or my experience?
Yeah, honestly, like I briefly mentioned, but Vidcon. So I grew up like on the times, the first ever Vidcon, like watching all of my favorite YouTubers year after year go to Vidcon. And I just remember dreaming about the day that I could finally go, like buy my ticket and go.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my last semester of university. I get an email or a call or something from someone at Kin, and they were like, hey, you're going to be a featured creator at Vidcon. I was like, you're joking. Like it's a joke. And I didn't even have 100,000 subscribers at that point. Like I genuinely was in disbelief. Like it was almost like imposter syndrome. Like I just couldn't believe that like, not only am I going to VidCon for the first time, but I'm a freaking featured creator and I'm going to be like,
no, that's insane.
It was the weirdest, just most surreal out of body experience. Like I was sitting next to Miss Glamorazzi, Ingrid, like on a panel.
Like the reason I started YouTube.
Literally. And I'm like, this is not real. Like I'm like I'm watching myself from a different experience. And I'm like, this is not real. So that like still to this day, I got invited again the year later. And it was just like, still to this day, I mean, VidCon, I feel like has kind of died down a little bit, but it's still like, I will never take that opportunity for granted. And I'm just like, I can't believe that still happened.
You like kept that necklace on for 2 weeks straight. Like, I'm not taking it off.
Literally, like
That's
I was
so
just like
funny.
changing all of my cold emails to like, and a featured creator at VidCon.
Yeah, you sign off and that's like your little like signature, featured creator at VidCon.
Yeah, I love that so much. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's no doubt like in a career, there's like obviously highs and lows, but I would love to hear some of your future goals. What are things 5 years from now? Who are you 10 years from now? What's coming up down the pipe for you that you want to maybe share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I've come to the point where I'm like really happy with all of the content that I'm making, and I want to be able to like share things with my audience off platform. So whether that's merch, which I'm definitely going to be launching sometime this year,
Yay!
or brand
collaboration.
Yeah, brand collaborations. I mean, my end goal, like my dream goal, is to come out with some sort of brand, either in skincare, makeup, apparel, something, just that I could like leave my legacy, if that makes sense. Like I just feel like we've done all of the work at building our audiences and like building who we are as brands and all of that. Like it's only right that we just continue that and be able to like, I mean, I don't want to say capitalize off that, but like continue like sharing with our community in a more special way than just like free content online, you know, like
continuing the story.
Exactly. So I'm just like so inspired by all of the creators like Jackie Aina, I know like Sam Ravindal just launched her brand, and just like Dominique Cosmetics, like all of these brands that started off as just like influencers making videos online, like before influencer was even a term, and now they're just, you know, just living the dream essentially. Like
it's so true.
Yeah.
I'm so obsessed with Summer Fridays.
Oh my God, Summer Fridays, obsessed. Like it's just so cool to see. It's like it's really inspiring to know that like we can get there. Like it's just a matter of yeah.
So true.
Well, it's so interesting. I feel like there was this weird kind of like exhaustion kind of reaction from consumers when they would see another celebrity come out with a makeup line. Like I know, especially when even Selena Gomez came out with her line. And it was so interesting because I remember reading something where someone was like, oh my God, another celebrity coming out with a makeup line. Like what's new? That's like the new, like coming out with a book that a YouTuber would do in 2013 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I read some of the replies, and a lot of people were more in the mindset of, which I actually agree with as well, being like, hey, this industry has been for a really long time, a very small group of people dominated it. And 3 companies basically owned the entire monopoly on beauty or makeup products. And typically they were white men. And I mean, obviously that does not work in terms of we need diversity. Yeah. And I think not only having diversity in people creating the products, but also if we have someone who is a creator and knows their audience like the back of their hand and knows exactly what they would want to see, well, what incredible market research is that? So I think it's actually so cool to see, whether it's a celebrity who has very innovative makeup looks, like I think of like a Halsey who has a line that makes so much sense for Halsey.
Exactly.
And whether it's, a creator like a Sam or Jackie Aina coming out with something, like I feel like that is actually the coolest thing in 2021, because that's something that's basically unheard of before this time.
Exactly. And we, you know, we spend our time watching these people and trusting their opinions on products that they don't own, you know? So it's like, it makes more sense to be supporting them on products that they've put literal years into, like not only just years making the products, but like experimenting with products. I mean, we get hundreds of PR and just everything, like every single day. So it's like we have tested all of that, and we know what we like and what we don't like and what other people like and don't like. It's like free market research essentially.
Absolutely.
So it just sounds, it's like the natural progression, you know?
Yeah. Like what about Kendall Jenner's tequila ? Did you guys see this?
I did.
I would probably be buying.
I did see that. And I mean, I don't drink, but like, I just love seeing that she's doing something. And like, everyone's always like, oh, she's a model, but like, no, she's been doing this behind the scenes for so long. Like,
it's cool.
Go ahead and do it. Like, I don't understand why people are like, oh, another brand. Like, why wouldn't you want that for yourself, but also want that for other people, you know?
Absolutely.
Damn. Well, I will stay tuned for your skincare line. I remember from the very first moment that I met you, I was always like, can I just ask you, like, what foundation are you wearing? You're like, oh, it's just like a highlighter today. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, you do have the most famous skin.
Smoothest, it's like the smoothest, most glowiest skin. It's just everything that I desire, because I've got like more textured acne prone skin, and yours, I swear, looks so buttery and perfect every single time I see you. So
thank you.
I will buy whatever skincare you put out.
Also, for those of you listening and watching, she's lying because her skin is beautiful. No, your skin is literal porcelain. Like, it's beautiful.
I've been on Accutane, so trust, it's not like we had a medication to thank for that.
Well, I haven't, but yeah, I'll take the compliment.
Less skin. Okay, you guys are both perfect. Jeez.
That's hilarious.
Well, we always like to end off every episode with a little gratitude game. I'm sure I've made you play this at some point. I can't remember, maybe when we were in Korea.
Yeah.
But it's the Roses and Thorns game. It's like a little gratitude high-low. So
You
we like to do a
definitely
little
did make us
reflection.
feel
It's very cute. So
She
we're
makes
hoping your game
everyone
to
play this game. Every single human she meets, she's like, okay, Roses and Thorns,
It's like,
baby.
so do you want to do Roses and Thorns now? It's like such a campy kind of game. I love it. Anyways, but we basically do one thorn, which is one negative thing to get off your chest. And it can normally be from the last like 24 hours last day. 2 roses, which are 2 highlights. We do 2 to outweigh the 1 bad. And then 1 rosebud, which is one thing you're looking forward to in the short term that you're super excited to share. So we can go first to kind of like set the tone, but get thinking and get ready to share.
Do you want me to go?
Or do you want me to take it away?
Okay, I can go.
Sure.
Okay, my thorn is that I have set a goal to post 1 TikTok every day this month, but I'm trying to find the motivation for Friday's video. I'm ahead. I have today and tomorrow. And I was like, oh, I could pre-shoot. And I couldn't. I was like, I got to be horizontal. So my thorn is that sometimes you just run out of steam and you set goals and you fail. My rose is having you on the podcast. I'm so excited for everyone to hear this episode. I know I love following along on your journey on social. So I'm sure everyone's going to just love getting a more in-depth version of your story. It's like fun to listen to a podcast version of people's life. So thank you so much for doing this. This is so fun. Another rose is my boyfriend has to figure out how to fit my ski to my boot tonight. And I just think that's going to be comedic. Like something about that just seems very funny to me. So I'm going to make him do that job. Yeah, tomorrow.
I'm so jealous.
But I'm not good. So we'll see.
You look cute.
Learning.
Exactly. And Rosebud is I cannot wait until we can collectively be in California all together and take you for lunch or dinner and see you in person and catch up because that'll be just a treat.
Oh, I cannot wait for that too.
Do you want to take it away next or do you want me to go?
You go. I'm still thinking.
Okay. Those are beautiful, Torri. Thank you for sharing. A thorn is, you know what? I keep this studio room very cold just because I find I normally get hot when I'm filming and things are happening. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, my feet are ice cold. I think it's like 18 or 19 degrees in the house. So like, that's pretty cold. I normally am at like a solid 24. So a little chilly. Could use another layer. A rose is... I mean, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Tor's. We normally don't let repeats happen in this game, but I'm going to let it slide. Being able to do the podcast virtually has actually been a blessing in some ways because we've been able to connect with people that we couldn't necessarily get locally, like someone like you who is in California. So it's been so nice that we can kind of take advantage of doing it on Zoom and connect with you and other people who also aren't in the same proximity. So that's been super lovely. And another rose is... I mean, it's kind of random. It's just sitting in front of me, so I'm thinking of it. I tried some new brushes today, and I really liked them. I was like, oh, like I have a thing with brushes, so it was really satisfying to just be like,
wait, are they Katie Jane Hughes? Did you see she's coming out with brushes?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, an epic line of brushes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I will definitely be getting them because I love brushes, so I need to purchase. But yeah, so that was Rose. And then something I'm looking forward to is, you know what? I have a family little group chat with all my cousins and it's been popping off throughout this thing. And I think we're going to do some yoga tonight on Zoom and do like a nice yoga with Adrian. So that'll be a fun little...
book club with me though. Are you joining book club tonight? Or
Oh, right. I forgot about book club. No, I am. Book club's at 7:30, right?
Yes, book club.
Yoga's at 9. So I think it'll be timed perfectly.
So cute.
We're such losers. That was so
like literally losers.
Gotta tell everyone we're doing a book club.
I love it. Okay.
Okay, take it away. You got the speaking stick.
So thorn is that I have neglected my laundry for like 3 weeks. And I have a lot of laundry to do after this. And that's literally what I despise the most is laundry. So that is a thorn for today. Rose. Wait, so is it a rose or what's the other one?
Rose.
Yeah, two roses and then one rosebud.
Okay, 2 roses. One is that this is probably the best matcha I've made all week. Very nice and smooth and sweet. Another
I
rose.
want one.
It's so good. I wish I could make it for you guys. Another rose. I mean, I know you said no repeats, but honestly, this entire podcast has just like made me so happy, and I just know I'm gonna be like bouncing off the walls after this. Your guys' energy, even through Zoom, is like so felt, and I love it.
Oh, good.
Yes. A rose bud is something that I'm looking forward to, right?
Yeah.
I'm going on a little mini road trip with my friend. She just had her 30th birthday, is actually today. So we're going on a little road trip next weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it because my burnt out self needs some time off. So
girl time. That's the best.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're still in major lockdown in Toronto, but yeah, that's my dream, is to go on like some sort of road adventure, drive
just a change
somewhere.
of scenery.
Yeah. Look at another wall.
Between sitting and talking to myself at a camera and just like being in the house, I'm like, well, this is life, baby.
Literally.
So this has been good.
Exactly.
This has been reviving.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, your ski trip kind of helps with it a little bit.
I'm ready to be on the slopes.
Well, thanks again so much for being on this podcast, the podcast where we shit talk ourselves. I'm Jac.
And I'm Tor.
that was
Aysha. And thank you. Yeah, I was like, we're trying to say your name.
Was it out of sync again? I thought it was in sync. I swear it is when I hear it. Anyways, go follow. We'll leave all of her links down below. Go check out the TikToks, especially if you want to see some things to post, apparently. But yeah, thank you again so much. This has been truly such a treat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you.